On the 17th of May 1943, Operation Chastise raided the Mona, Ada and Sorp dams. It was then known as the Dambusters. 80 years later, on the 17th of May 2023, on the 80th anniversary, Team Bridges Benn flew the Dambusters' original flight path. It was then known as Team Bridges Benn Dambuster Challenge.
You are with the Dambusters in action, boring at treetop height into the heart of...
At 4:38 GMT, Team Bridges Benn departed from Sturgate Airfield. They flew the Dambusters' original southern route flown by squadron leader Guy Gibson, which was plotted by Sergeant Vivian Nicholson, the navigator on the original flight. He painstakingly completed this plot during the raid in the Lancaster at night whilst under fire. Team Bridges Benn followed the documented waypoints, which were RAF Scampton, Woodall Spa, West Raynham, Hethel, Southwold, Showen Windmill, Tollen, Railroad at Rosendale, Beacon Donkgok, Omega Bend by Rees, Dolmen Lakes, Coal Mine at Allen. They then flew over Mona, Ada and Sorp dams. The route home was Mona, Coal Mine at Allen, Dolmen Lakes, Glide House, Village Church north of Nordock, Hardenberg, Bowlaker Lake, Wainfleet and RAF Scampton. It appeared at first to be a straightforward challenge. Turned out to be one of the most complicated planning tasks ever undertaken. Charlene, a flight examiner and CPR flight instructor, with all her experience, was astounded to realise this was one of the most difficult pre-flight planning preparations she had ever experienced. Why? The original flight logs were hard to interpret. Some waypoints had no coordinates, and different aircraft flew different routes. RAF Scampton, the original departure airfield, was closed, and no matter how many meetings and emails that went around, no one could give permission to use it. So Sturgate was chosen due to its proximity to RAF Scampton. Team Bridges Benn decided to plan using charts like they did in 1943. So meticulous time was spent charting the route and using the CRP5 instead of modern technology.
That's how we plan our navigation. We get the protractor north facing up that way, place it down. Do you see the centre? You place the centre on the second trek, then you follow the line down and you can read that is 120.
This was Hudson's role. He had to also keep an eye on timing throughout the flight and photograph each waypoint, which is a big responsibility for a 10-year-old boy. The other challenge was they were flying in a PA-28, an aircraft which is a lot slower than the original Lancaster bomber. So flying the route in the hours of daylight with the need of having to refuel would make it tight. Life rafts, life vests, a satellite GPS phone, emergency locator beacons and survival bag were sourced. As the sea crossing across the North Sea necessitated such equipment, ditching procedures were studied. Prior permissions and flight plans were needed. Although the flight plans and GARs could be done on the day, getting it all completed ahead of the time would make the day run smoother. All airspace that the aircraft was to enter was contacted a month before to make sure there were no NOTAMs or restrictions on the day. There was concern over the airspaces over Netherlands and Germany, so diversion planning needed to be on standby, but as each airspace authority had been sent detailed charts of the route before the flight was granted permission, and on the day it all went smoothly. The idea to drop rose petals to commemorate all the lives lost was thought to be fitting. It was hoped that they could drop the petals over each dam. So wildlife authorities and customs were all contacted to make sure this would be fine. There was a presentation made to each German authority for the permission. Unfortunately, they were denied permission. This was heartbreaking, so another presentation, less than 2 weeks before the flight, was made to the UK CAA to see if the petals could be dropped over the UK soil. The UK CAA came up trumps. The permission was granted and a NOTAM was created. The drop zone Gibraltar Point was chosen as this was where the young pilots in 1943 would have crossed the UK coastline on the way home. And just how relieved and happy they must have felt seeing home, one cannot imagine. The next problem was dropping the petals. Just like in 1943 when they were trying to work out which bomb to use and how to use it, there was a logistical problem. Team British Benn were flying a PA-28 for the challenge, so trying to work out how to drop rose petals safely became an obstacle. Engineers were contacted, as were businesses who drop funeral ashes. A lot of the time and planning went into the design. In the end, a special sock made out of a British flag was used, as it proved to be the best material in test runs which were completed on the ground.
So in here we have the petals, all the rose petals for our Union Jack sock that is to go. As you can see, there's loads and loads of petals in here to commemorate everybody who lost their lives.
The sock was attached to the inside of the aircraft so it would not hamper any control surface. The rose petal release was a great success and went off without a hitch. Lastly, it was decided to raise money for the charity RAF Benevolent Fund, as they have been involved heavily with the Dambusters over the year. Ruth completed a 100-mile charity ride 4 days before the flight, an achievement in itself. Hudson did a cake and lemonade sale, and Charlene raised money through media. In the end, a total of £1,113 was raised.
Now, a pilot has raised hundreds of pounds for the RAF Benevolent Fund by flying the original route of the Dambusters on the 80th anniversary of the daring raids.
They were followed on the day by the charity news teams, with radio presenters wanting interviews. People were tracking them on Flight Radar 24. It was a busy day. The flight had 2 fuel stops which were time critical, as not only were they to fuel but had to clear customs, fit in flight planning and plotting, submit the next flight plan and do a radio interview. Wies in Germany, the first stop, showed a flight plan complication which caused a delay. It then became a worry they would not make the flight in the hours of daylight. De Kooi was the second fuel stop in the Netherlands and had vigorous customs checks and documentation to go through, as it is a military airfield. They flew a total of 11 hours and 2 minutes and made it back to the home base 12 minutes before official night. But not everything goes to plan. On the 16th of May 2023, when they were flying to their starting point, Charlene and Hudson received the sad news that her father had passed away.
Because my father and Hudson's grandfather has passed away, unfortunately, yesterday, we have now got a rose petal. We've claimed one each and we're putting them inside with all the others to commemorate his life. Hudson?
Phil, we love you.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Just like in 1943 there was heartache, but despite this they did it. Team Bridges Benn flew the Dambuster original flight path on the 80th anniversary from dawn till dusk.